Hello, everybody. Welcome back again. My name's Wally, and
I'm Jason.
all right. Today we're going to talk about VOR checks. When's the last time this came up for you on a check ride, Jason?
Every instrument or double I make it a point to ask about it.
Yeah, and it comes up for me because most of my privates tell me they have to have it as well. So
No, you don't.
anyway, so let's talk about a VOR check. Obviously, we need to make sure our VOR is, we check the engine, we go out, we do a run up, we do a mag check, we check the oil, we check the fuel, we do all that stuff. We also need to check our navigation equipment. And the VORs, I don't know the inner workings of the VOR, but I guess they can get out of whack a little bit.
So two types of that. So there's your nav head, right, which is your radio. It depends which system it is, but the G1000 I'm assuming I would actually assume it's all the same. So it's your nav head, that would be the G1000,
Yeah.
or the KX155 or the 225. Whatever nav head you have, there's that. Then there's the coax, it's the cable running to the antenna, right? So what antenna? On new airplanes, this is a real quick tangent, on new airplanes antennas, it's pretty simple. It's COM1, COM2, there's your GPS, you're going to have your glide slope antenna. And then what I'm talking about for your VOR stuff, that's the V antenna on the back of the tail.
Yeah.
Right? So one antenna is nav 1, the other antenna is nav 2. You don't know which is which because you haven't taken the tail apart to look where the coax goes, right? However, but that's your VOR, that's your loc, that's your lateral navigation using your navcom, right? So sometimes I'll ask what these antennas are. Old airplanes, that's a can of worms unless you really know what's going on. And the reason old airplanes are kind of hard, it's pretty easy to find COM1, COM2, but on old airplanes they'll leave antennas attached to the airframe.
Right.
And the reason they don't take them apart or they don't take it off is that will leave a hole. And there's a lot of guys just don't know how to patch the hole or cover the hole.
Right.
So it's simply just best to leave the antenna there. But that antenna, although it's on the airplane, is in theory it's linked to nothing. They just don't want to patch a hole. So know what your antennas are about on your airplane, things like that. But I digress. But the typical, it's the nav head, it's the coax, that's the cable, and then the last part and the comms work the same way. The last part of it is the actual antenna, right? So older airplanes, when they go and have all these awesome avionics upgrade, I don't understand it, and I understand it costs more money. However, you're putting in these $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, thousands and thousands upon dollars of new equipment in these older airplanes, yet you're not going to pay the $150 for a new coax that's 75 years old. You're not going to pay $200 for a new comm antenna, right? So I would advise to anybody, just spend the $500 more and get new comm antennas, new coax, because it's going to make those radios crystal clear. The reception's going to be better. There's no corrosion on those lines. All that deteriorates a signal. Right?
Did you happen to know that I'm in the process of upgrading the avionics on an 80-year-old airplane?
We've talked about it, but don't not do that.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Like, spend a couple hundred more, not just on the head, but pay that little extra money and have them run the new coax, because it's a new upgraded coax, right? And then the new antenna, because that corrosion sometimes eats from within, and it looks good on the surface, but it's not good internally.
Right. Okay.
And that's from experience from redoing the airplanes that I have. However, we digress. So the VOR check, right? So that's what that is. We're talking about the VOR check. I ask it on every instrument check ride and every double I check ride, and it entails it'll encompass in this following question: can you prove to me that this aircraft is legal for us to fly today?
Right.
And they'll start going through the aviate. So the AV, they'll get to the V. VOR every 30 days. I'm like, great. Can you show me the last time that was done? and they'll pull it out, and some of them will pull out and they'll try to find it in the maintenance logbooks, and I'll go start drinking my coffee because that's going to be a long time coming. Most people do not leave it in the maintenance logbooks. It's another binder, sheet of paper, little notebook left in the airplane, right? Because that's where you're going to log it.
Yeah.
But the point is, I'll say, which one have you done? And they say, well, we have to do it every 30 days. Well, that's when it's due, but what have you done? So this goes back to, I know we've discussed it in the past, just rote memorization. They know stuff has to be every 30 days, and then they can spill out VOT, ground check, a maintenance repair station, the dual VOR, the airborne check. They can spit it all out. And I said, okay, well, walk me through a dual VOR check. And that's where it kind of will stop, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion between the ground checkpoint and the the ground checkpoint and the VOT.
Right.
And then on the double eyes, I'll specifically ask, you have a single nav head. Do a VOR check. Walk me through. Which one would you pick? Why would you pick it, etc.
Yeah.
So you want to start with VOR checks. We'll just go. This is just a real quick video on what they are and where do you find them and how does it look?
Yeah. Probably the easiest, and they're few and far between, is a VOT check. VOT, I don't even know what it stands for, but it is a VOR check where you tune into a particular frequency. I just looked up in the Houston area to see if there was one in the Houston area. There is one down at Hobby Airport down on the southeast side of Houston. I want to say the frequency is 108.4. So you tune your VOR to 108.4 and just think of a Cessna 182. So on 180, you tune in the 180 degree radial, you should have a 2 indication, and it should center up. And that's a VOT check.
So 182 or 360 from.
Right.
But that's what you could, the key on the VOT, so you're going to find this in the AFD, the little green book, or when you go into ForeFlight and you hit, actually I think you hit AFD, all that is a digital print of the actual hard copy book.
Right.
But the cool thing about a VOT check, yes, they're few and far between. I know Hobby has one. I think the next closest is Longview up in East Texas. I know Centennial in Denver has one.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of them. The coolest thing is you can be anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Yeah. Chicago has one. Oops, Mike. Chicago has one. Anywhere on the field, you tune in the frequency, and then you go to the radial, and it's 180 with a 2, or it's a 360 with a from. Right. That's a VOR check. A lot of people confuse that with the next one, which is a ground checkpoint.
Right. So you might have an airport and there's a location on the ground, and it will tell you that you are on the 227 degree radial off a particular VOR.
So College Station next to us, for some reason it's gone, but the College Station VOR is a couple miles away from the field. They used to have a ground checkpoint, and that is also listed in the AFD, the Airport Facility Directory. And what it is that you have to go to a very specific point on the airport, which it's labeled in the AFD. And what it is you'll go find where the point is, or you can ask ground control and they'll tell you where to go. And it's a yellow T. It looks like a parking spot. It's a yellow T painted on the ramp. And you put your nose, you line it up on that T, you put your nose there, you park, and in front of you, it's typically yellow, but in front of you, about 10, 20 feet on the edge of the taxiway, there's a yellow sign. And it's going to say, CLL VOR. It's going to have the Morse code. It's going to have the frequency. It's going to have the bearing or the radial with a DME. And you just sit there and you literally tune in to exactly what the sign says. And there's your answer, right? So the ground check, the VOT, that has to be plus or minus 4 degrees. The ground checkpoint is also plus or minus 4 degrees. The next one that we're going to talk about is also plus or minus 4 degrees, and that's a repair station. So what's a repair station? A repair station is basically, it's an avionics shop.
Right.
If for some, why would you do it? You're doing these VOR checks, and maybe you're not within tolerance. You have to now go get your VOR. I'm sorry, it's not your VOR, it's not the OBS. You have to go get that nav radio tuned. They calibrate it, right, to bring it back within tolerance. So a repair station typically is to bring you back within tolerance. But yes, you actually could, in theory, take out your radio, take it to the repair station and say, hey, do a VOR check for me.
Right.
That is a possibility.
Right. The next one is a dual VOR check. Most airplanes that people fly IFR around in usually have 2 VORs.
Definitely flight school airplanes are 2.
Yeah, yeah. So we can be in the air, we can be anywhere in the air as long as we are within range of a VOR. We have a good signal from the VOR, and we can tune them against each other. We can both tune them both into whatever VOR and put in the radio, and I've got the 360 degree radial on one, and I've got the 2 degree radial on another one. We're within 2 degrees, and again, the tolerances on this is plus or minus 4 degrees, so that would suffice to be a valid VOR check.
I would say that's the easiest one.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
That is just, you got 2 radios, same frequency, you tune them to the same radial, they should be within 4 of each other, plus or minus 4, and then that's kind of that. It takes all of less than 30 seconds. It's super fast, super easy. You don't have to be kind of like the next one. You don't have to, you could do an IMC in theory.
Yeah.
The next one and the last one, that's a VOR airborne check. That airborne check, that's a little bit more specific. You have to be greater than 20 miles away at a lower altitude. And I'll ask that. This is the one, if you only have one radio, this along with a VOR checkpoint or a VOT, this is the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
So you have to have a prominent landmark. So right then and there, if it's asking for a prominent landmark, you have to be able to see the prominent landmark. So you tune in, and it can be any radial. It doesn't have to be a Victor Airway, right? You can use, you can go to the sectional and plot that VOR compass rose. Those are all magnetic headings, right?
Right.
Or magnetic courses rather. You can pull a course off of a VOR, and next to where we are in Conroe, which is CXO, Charlie X-ray Oscar, there's a fairly large lake. Well, right in the middle of the lake, there's this big old bridge. It's the 1097 bridge. A little bit to the west of that is the Navasota VOR. If you pull from the center of the Navasota VOR, if you do the 2-finger thing, you extend on the foreflight, or you get a ruler and you plot it, that's going to yield a radial off of the Navasota VOR.
Right.
So meaning over the 1097 bridge, you've already done it on the ground, you should be on X radial. And that's your plus or minus 6 degrees, right? Another one, if you want to pull up the chart, just a little bit north of Conroe is Huntsville Airport, which is UTS, Uniform Tango Sierra. There is actually a Victor Airway going directly over Huntsville Airport. So what I suggest, they go up there all the time in new patterns. You're in the pattern. It costs you nothing to tune in this radial over the airport. There you go. You've done your VOR check.
Right.
How do we log the VOR checks? That you can look it up in the regs. It's 91171. But the acronym a lot of people use is DEPS. So DEPS, Delta Echo Papa Sierra. So it's the date, it's the error, right? Position. The position means that was what VOR did you use, and then you sign on the end of it. This shouldn't take that long to do. But again, in the check rides, we very often see they can list all this out, but they've never actually done it. Or a lot of the answers is, oh, I saw my instructor do it, or I watched my CFI do it.
I watched my CFI do it, yeah.
So to CFIs, have your students maybe show it to them once, and then pick a different VOR, and then have them do it in front of you. The tactile sensory learning is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. So again, VOR checks. Yep, every 30 days. Log it on a sheet of paper. Log it in a little notebook. People typically keep it in the aircraft, and as long as it's there, it's there. You're good to go. Let's do a little bit of scenario training at this point. So Wally, your VOR check has not been done in 2 months. So you're 60 days out of whack. Can you go fly IFR?
It depends. It depends.
Expand.
Yeah, if you're not using your VOR, sure.
Correct. So I guess a more simple way, a more blunt way to put that, if you haven't done a VOR check and you intend on flying IFR, is your aircraft grounded?
No.
No. And the reason is, as long as you don't use your VORs for navigation, have at it, go. So you very easily, if you're using GPS
Right.
or radar vectors and you join a departure, radar vectors, you go direct, whatever it might be, you're not using VORs, are you?
No.
No.
And while you're in the air, do a VOR check.
And that's the
Now you're
kicker.
good to
That's
go.
what, like the second you get to cruise or the second you do it, maybe have it set up before you take off, have the frequency set up, and very quickly, if you have to, do a dual check. Boom,
Right.
boom, the radials are within 4. Guess what? Now you can use those VORs again, right?
Right.
So it's not a grounding aspect. You just can't use them until the check is done.
Right.
They're reciprocal. It's the same principle. Let's talk about the nav database, right? Can you go fly instruments with your nav database expired?
It depends.
It depends.
If you're using VOR, go for it.
So,
and you've got a good VOR check.
Yeah, if your VOR check is good, you absolutely can go with an expired nav database, but you can't use it for, it's basically situational awareness only. You still should be flying pretty much Victor Airways, or yes, you can go direct, but you better be able to kind of pull up the VOR, right? And go direct to the VOR, but you're restricted for your approaches at that point
Right.
to ILSs, LOCs, VOR approaches.
Ground-based.
All the ground-based nav, exactly.
Back in the day, prior to VORs, prior to GPS, excuse me, prior to
That's
to
all
GPS.
we had these things called NDVs.
Yeah, we would fly VOR to VOR, and what ATC would do is they would say, fly heading is 030 when receiving the national VOR, proceed direct.
Yeah, proceed direct whenever,
yeah.
when able.
Yeah,
But they'll give you, I remember we left Palm Springs one night at ExpressJet, and this Northwest had just taken off out of LA behind us. And so ATC was like, JetLink, whatever, 1, 2, 3, clear direct Houston. Copy that, double pump, execute, and off the way we go. And about 10 seconds later, JetLink, what's your on-course heading to Houston? We were, whatever, 090. He goes, Northwest, fly heading 090, because they were in a DC-9.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's what he did. He was just giving him vectors behind us.
Yeah.
But nav databases, they go out of date. Nav databases are every 56 days. The plates, the instrument approaches, those go out of date every 28 days, right? So as long as you have, like say your nav data, this is all dependent, but the point is it's not a grounding aspect. If your nav database is out of date, you can absolutely go fly, but it's a VOR only. It's ground-based nav, meaning you're shooting an ILS, a localizer. You cannot shoot any RNAV approach, right?
Right.
Reciprocal, if your VORs are out of date, okay, as long as all your GPS stuff is in date,
Right.
have at it, but you cannot accept, in theory, you can't accept the localizer, the VOR, et cetera, the ILS,
Right.
because you haven't double checked that. So just a little bit of outside the box thinking on that. Anything else on that?
No, I think we just about covered it.
So I'm trying to. I had something, but I forgot about it. But it is what it is. VOR checks. Know what it is. Do yourself a favor. Go play with it. Go do it. Go find it in the AFD. Right. Go look where a VOT is, etc. But know the difference between the VOT and the ground. Those are not the same. And then a repair station. Yes, it's on the list. It's on the book. But you're not. I would say nobody really does that unless it's broken.
Right, right.
And they'll just go tune it. They'll calibrate it for you.
Yeah, and they're all within 4 degrees except for the one that's the least accurate, and that's the airborne over, a known point in the air, so that you get a little bit more tolerance on that one. So, as a default, think of your VOR, all your VOR checks having to be within 4 degrees.
Yep.
There is that one outlier, but if they're always within 4 degrees, you're good.
Yep.
So that's it for today. We'll see you again next time. If you'd hit like and subscribe down there. And again, here's our emails, Wally at checkridechat.com or Jason at checkridechat.com. We appreciate all the positive comments, and do we appreciate the hate? I guess so. You know what?
The hate can be entertaining.
Yeah, it can, but what we're doing is we're making people talk, and we're making people think about some things. So anyway, that's it for now. We'll see you next time.